Hello, and here we are back live once again from the Sage Paracon right here in King George, Virginia. And folks, like I said, it's been a great day, a lot of really great talks going on. And here she is, Kim Sage. I finally get to meet you.
Thank you.
I've come to these events and it's like, okay, who have I not met before? And I saw you and Kelvin Von Crush, and I was like, interesting. Two people. So Kim is a medium, and you are from?
I'm actually from this area. So I'm from a little town called King William. It's right off 95, or should I say, most people would know it's north of Richmond. So
there we go. So we are in the beautiful state of Virginia, and I'll tell you, this is my first trip to Virginia. What a beautiful place!
Yeah, and the weather cooperated.
Oh yeah, we are having the best weather of our life. This morning looked kind of sketchy, but then the sun came out and decided to play nice with us. So Kim, when did you discover you had your gifts?
So, like most people, when I was a kid, I would see things or hear things and get scared and run to my parents' room in the middle of the night to get in bed with them. But like most, you just didn't talk about those things. Like you either had an imaginary friend or, I don't know, it just wasn't supported because it wasn't really recognized at the time. Right. Yeah. So I grew up not being able to talk about it. And then right around when I was 19 or 20, things were happening all the time. I was doing astral projection without even knowing it, like spontaneous. So it scared me because I didn't know how to control what was going on. And so I just shut everything down and lived that way for 20 years. Yeah. And then I ended up having a reading myself, and my grandmother, who's passed over, told the medium, hey, she can do what you're doing. Like she put me on the spot. So, and at the time, this medium was teaching classes on boundaries and how to open and close per se. And so that's when I started really getting into it more of, because the way I can do this, I can help others. So it was more of me being in service of others.
And that's the great thing about, and I mean, mediums in this field, I mean, we notice like some of the mediums, like they've had things happen to them in their lives, which then accelerates their gifts even more. Is that something similar to what happened to you? Or
I didn't have anything in particular. Well, let me rewind a little bit. When I did get back into this, I was in a very like rock bottom part of my life.
Okay.
And it was in a part of being a single mom and starting over totally. So that was a big event, life change. And that kind of tweaked. And when I started learning about opening my gifts more, I actually I learned that I need to trust and let it go. So that's what I did. And then you can't explain the things that happen. And it's like, oh my gosh, I've turned my life around just by trusting what I'm getting from my spirit guides. And
right.
Yeah.
So you said that you turned it off for 20 years. Now, for some of our viewers out there, they're like, well, how can you turn off something that's in us?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you turn off your brain? How do you turn off any part of your body? So
yeah.
Could you explain to us, like, how you were able to...
So I didn't recognize, or I wouldn't act on. It's not like the stuff stopped, but I just didn't act on it, or I didn't accept it or say anything. I was kind of like, when I was in that part of my life, when I hit rock bottom, before I had moved out, my grandmother gave me these, before she passed away, she gave me a lot of her trinkets. And they were these little owls. And they were sitting up on the mantle. And probably about a month before I moved out, it was a very unhealthy relationship. These things were moving. They were turning. Right. So when I would get up in the morning, I knew it was a sign from her.
Yeah.
So that was then. I'd see little things like that, but not to the point of where I work now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was more of just ignoring it.
And we'd like to welcome our Facebook users that are tuned in. I have 2 followers that says, hi, Kim, hi, Dale, and hey, Dale. I wish I could see your names, but it's just showing up on my screen as Facebook users. So if you could type in below who you are so I know who's tuning in, we want to thank you so much for tuning in and finding out who Kim Sage really is. And I mean, this is... I think we all really are, because I mean, I know with myself and doing this show in my intuitive gifts that I have, mine more or less tuned in after I had my near death experience,
Okay.
and I allowed myself to open up and just embrace what I
Yes.
was instead of hiding who I was, because I was always that weird little kid,
Hmm.
that I was shy away from everybody. But then the events of my life, it was like I just let things flow in the now I'm learning how to use them at the age of 50.
Yeah. Hey, it's never
And
too late.
no,
Yeah.
it's like you just, Lisa, hey Lisa, how's it going? Thank you for tuning in. Hey Donnie. But yeah, no, and that's why I brought up the point. Like, a lot of the mediums that I've met, and I look forward to your talk today. Like, maybe it'll help me
Kind of understand.
understand more and open up a little bit more,
Yeah.
because I think there's still a little bit of me that's still a little bit scared. Now, if
Yeah.
somebody was coming to you and says, wondering if they're a medium, and I believe we all have it in us,
I do too. I most certainly do.
what would be the one piece of advice you would give somebody if they wanted to explore mediumship?
So I'll tell you, the foundation that I feel is very important is knowing how to meditate or knowing how to quiet your mind. Because if you can't quiet your mind, you're not going to pick up the outside stimuli or the things going around. So meditation is definitely a huge thing, because in meditation you can actually meet your loved ones that have passed over through meditation. You meet your guides, you get guidance. So if I had one thing of recommendation, it would be that. And you don't. So I'm ADD, ADHD. Like, my mind squirrels all the time. So a lot of times when I say meditations, people's like, "Oh my god, I can't sit still for 30 minutes." You don't have to do that. Like,
Right.
10 minutes. Do guided meditations, or just learning how to bring it in.
Right.
Yeah.
See, with me, yeah, I'm a lot like that too. It's like, I mean, I'm busy, but I try to do the self care thing,
Yeah.
because that's important in life, and I think that's what a lot of the pandemic really taught us is, and make people step back and look at themselves and think about themselves, because we were always in busy lives, always stuff to
Yep.
do, don't have time, I can't do that, no, I can't. But I think the pandemic made us stop and think, well, I'm trapped in my house. Now what do I do? I can't do nothing.
Yeah.
So it made a lot of people think about themselves, and that's exactly what happened to me. So it's just, it's very interesting. And the meditation part. So me, I like to go to sleep meditating.
Okay. Listening. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got certain programs I'll listen to and stuff like that. Put in the earbud,
Hmm.
quiet myself down, get the whole sage incense burning, so I can get myself.
Creating the environment.
And, yeah, and I use the earbuds just to block out noises
Yeah.
all around us, because that's me. It's like, I try to meditate. It's like my brain will hear like a bird chirp, and I'll be like, "What's that?"
And you know
What
what?
kind of
That's
bird that
okay.
is?
That's normal. So when that happens, just accept it and then let it go. And then just get back. Either if you're like counting your breaths or something like that to keep on track, then you just repeat it.
Yeah.
But I've been meditating for 6 years now. And my brain, I think about my to-do list for the day, or so that happens. I just acknowledge it and let it go.
So as a medium, now we've seen a lot of these shows with mediums. Like, they'll be walking down the street, they'll get a message for somebody. Now, how do you handle those kinds of
I
situations?
don't do it because I feel, how do I say it? I feel like we need to have ethics and morals, and I don't feel like you should come up to a complete stranger and say, "Hey, is your dad on spirit?" because he's standing next to you. And the reason I say that is because you don't know what kind of place somebody's in when you approach them.
Right.
And so it's not like when people come to me for readings, I know that they want readings.
Right.
I just will never cross that line to do that. I just don't personally feel like it's the right thing to do.
And I kind of feel that way too, because every once in a while, and this is the part I'm trying to learn how to control, is like message will come to me and it's like, do I tell somebody what I just,
Yeah.
or do I just let it? But then there's points where the other side's so persistent
So if
that
it's like if it's a friend, then I
Oh.
wouldn't mind doing that because I would reach out to them first and say, hey, something came to me. Do you mind if I relay it? But complete stranger, I don't do. And spirit, working with spirit in general, I set boundaries. So because at the end of the day, I'm human,
Right.
right? And I'm not always working because if I didn't quote unquote shut down, oh my gosh, I don't even know how people can function. I'd have headaches, I'd be tired. But so that's why I like to set boundaries with spirit.
Yeah, I was at a talk with Chip Coffey at the MI Paracon one year, and he was up there talking, and that was one of the questions. Like people says, like how do you how do you deal with this in your life 24/7? And he says, well, there comes like he goes, I think of it at one point, I just turn it off and say, nope,
Yep.
not now. I'm
Yep.
busy. I'll deal with you later.
Yeah.
So and that's always been the intriguing part of how you have to set boundaries because
Yes.
they want to relay a message, but you have to
Yeah.
be able to say, no, not right now. This is not the time for me. So, what would be the most interesting thing that happened to you since you've opened up to this mediumship world?
Oh my gosh. My life has been blessed in so many ways. I don't even know like which one to pinpoint on. From like last night when I was telling you about my son being diagnosed with autism, because I would have been totally lost still trying to figure out what was going on. And since doing this, I have been around like-minded people in which it feels so good to be around like-minded people because you can open up and you can talk about the crazy things that you see and validate that you're not crazy. So that's been amazing. And also, I think for me is for when I give individual readings, I'm given that my client a different way to heal or their way of grieving shifts because they know that their loved ones are still here, just on spirit side.
Yes.
So that fulfills me to be able to do that.
So, if somebody who's watching this video right now, or a couple hours from now, or a week from now, and they want to get a reading from you, what would be the best way to get a hold of you?
My website. So I have a website, www.sacredsagelife.com.
And there you have it, folks. This is the lovely Kim Sage here at Sage Paracon this weekend in King George, Virginia, at the beautiful Belle Grove Plantation. And folks, we will be back in just a little while. In the meantime, we're going to listen to Kim speak just a little while from
Right
now.
after Jeff.
Right after Jeff. So in the meantime and in between time, folks, like we like to say here at the PTV Nation, happy hauntings.
Thank you.